The film opens in Green Hill Zone, where Sonic the Hedgehog is doing what he does best, running at supersonic speeds through his home turf. The environment around him is vibrant, alive with color, the sky clear, the hills lush, and the usual thrill of adventure in the air. He effortlessly maneuvers through loop-de-loops, his quills blurring with streaks of electric blue as he races across the terrain. A symphony of adrenaline and joy pulses through the scene. But this piece is shattered when something strange happens. The ground trembles, and the very sky above begins to shift and distort. Reality itself starts to fracture, trees flicker in and out of existence, familiar landmarks fade like shadows, and entire sections of the landscape are being swallowed up by a force beyond comprehension. Sonic skids to a halt, feeling a sudden tension in the air. Before he can react, a dark shadow appears on the horizon. A figure, a hedgehog, but not like him, emerges from the chaos. This new Sonic is a striking contrast: white fur, piercing red eyes, and an expression of cold indifference. There's no smile, no playful taunt, only a stare that chills the air itself. The two Sonics lock eyes for a brief moment, an electric tension building between them. Without a word, the white Sonic vanishes, leaving Sonic standing in the heart of the fading world, unsure of what he's just witnessed. As the distortions grow worse, Sonic returns to Tails at his workshop, desperate for answers. The screens flash wildly in front of Tails, filled with broken images of familiar landscapes, all flickering and collapsing. After some analysis, Tails reveals the source of the chaos. A massive rift in space-time, a tear in reality itself, is spreading and causing these distortions. But it's not just a random event, it's being manipulated by White Sonic. Tails explains that this White Sonic hails from an alternate dimension, one where the laws of freedom and hope have been replaced with something far darker. This version of Sonic once fought for justice and peace, but his lust for power and control twisted him into a tyrant. He believed that the world could only be saved if it was ruled with absolute order. His speed and strength became tools of domination rather than freedom. As he tried to reshape his world in his image, the very fabric of that reality began to collapse, creating the rift that now threatens Sonic's world. But the real shock comes when Tails reveals the true motive of White Sonic. He intends to merge both realities, replacing Sonic's world with his own, one where he reigns supreme as a dictator. The rift is his weapon, his ultimate tool to erase freedom and impose his vision of perfection. And now the clock is ticking. If Sonic doesn't stop him, everything he's ever known will be erased. Sonic, feeling the weight of the situation and the intense pressure, sets off to stop White Sonic. The journey takes him through familiar zones, Sunset Heights, Chemical Plant Zone, and Mystic Cave, each altered by the rift, each more warped and chaotic than the last. Entire sections of these areas flicker in and out of existence, and Sonic feels the reality around him unraveling. But each time he's close to reaching White Sonic, the Dark Twin manages to escape, leaving only a trail of distortion and an unshakable feeling of dread. The more Sonic learns about White Sonic's past, the more he realizes the danger is not just about stopping a villain, it's about stopping a force that could unravel the very essence of freedom itself. He begins to question if he, too, could have fallen into the same trap. If the ambition to be the fastest, to be the best, could have corrupted him just like White Sonic. But in those moments of doubt, Sonic pushes forward. He knows that the only way to preserve the world is by staying true to what he believes in: hope, freedom, and choice. Finally, Sonic arrives at Angel Island, the heart of the rift's power. The island, once a peaceful refuge, is now floating in a distorted space, suspended in time. The ground trembles beneath his feet and the sky is torn apart, an eerie, stormy mix of red and purple swirling above. Electric storms rage across the skies, and the island itself seems to shift and bend with every passing moment, as if reality itself is collapsing under the weight of the rift. In the center of the island, White Sonic awaits, his back to Sonic, standing at the very core of the rift. The air is charged with tension as the two Sonics finally face each other. The world around them crackles with energy. The rift pulses, and the sound of its energy fills the air like a beating heart. Sonic can feel the weight of his responsibility. The fate of the world hangs in the balance. White Sonic turns slowly, his expression as cold as ice. "You don't get it, do you, Sonic?" he says, his voice devoid of emotion. "You could have been like me. You could have ruled this world, stopped all the chaos, all the disorder. But no, you choose to let it all fall apart." He gestures toward the rift. "I will save this world, even if I have to tear it apart to do so." Sonic stares back, fire in his eyes. This world doesn't need control. It needs freedom. Without another word, the battle erupts in an explosion of light and speed. The fight is intense, with Sonic and White Sonic racing across the island at impossible speeds. Their blows land with tremendous force, each collision sending shockwaves through the landscape. The ground cracks beneath them and platforms shift in the air, creating a constantly changing battlefield. Sonic has to fight not just for his world but for his ideals, his belief in freedom and hope. But White Sonic is relentless. He manipulates the very reality around them, shifting the landscape, distorting the environment, and trying to trap Sonic in ever-decreasing spaces. The sky splits, lightning cracks, and the rift pulses with dangerous energy, threatening to swallow the entire island. As they battle, it becomes clear that only by closing the rift will the two Sonics be able to survive. In a final, desperate move, Sonic uses his speed and intellect to reach the center of the rift, where its energy is most concentrated. With White Sonic close behind, Sonic dives into the core, his body radiating blinding blue energy. The world around him warps. But he pushes forward, driven by the belief that freedom and hope are worth fighting for. With one final burst of speed, Sonic disrupts the rift's energy, causing the island to tremble and the rift to begin to collapse. White Sonic screams in fury as his form begins to disintegrate, fading into the rift and vanishing into nothingness. The storm subsides and the skies begin to clear. The rift collapses and reality snaps back into place. Sonic stands in the ruins of Angel Island, panting heavily, exhausted but victorious. The world around him is still, the sky now bright and clear. The rift is gone and freedom has been restored. Tails, who had been watching from a distance, approaches Sonic. "You did it, Sonic. The world is safe." Sonic, still catching his breath, looks out over the horizon. It wasn't about speed or strength, Tails. It was about remembering who we are, what we fight for. Hope, freedom, that's what really matters. With that, the two of them share a quiet moment, knowing the battle is over, but the journey is far from finished. As the camera zooms out, Sonic and Tails run into the horizon, the sun rising behind them, casting long shadows on the land. Sonic's figure blurs into a streak of blue as the final electrical surge fades from the screen.